Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Ask Jimmy Smith. Today, I am excited to be giving you an overview video of essentially what are the main Amazon business models and which one is best. Now, there are tons of ways to make money using Amazon, whether it's Amazon.com or using Merch by Amazon or KDP by Amazon, all of these different models. And I actually cover those on a few other videos on my channel for multiple streams of income. I actually have a playlist for multiple streams of income that you can check out on my channel to see some of these other ways to utilize Amazon for making an income online and at home with very little risk to you up front, at least to get started from a capital perspective. But ultimately, I wanted to go through the three main Amazon business models that exist for the majority of people out there right now. The ones that are the most exciting, the ones that most people are making YouTube videos about, making course content about. And I wanted to give you my review and my experience of all three of them. Really, ultimately, there's huge opportunities in all three of these different models. I have selected one that I enjoy the most, the one that I teach people on the most on this channel. And I'll go through that here a little bit more in just a minute. But I've also done these other two models. And it's something that we actively incorporate into our business. They aren't items that we just ignore, that we completely let go, because they are such great opportunities moving forward from multiple different vantage points. And I wanted to go through really just these three opportunities so you can understand, really, if you're trying to decide which way you should go in your business, you can fully grasp the three different main models, the pros and cons of each, and what you're looking for as you move forward in your Amazon business. Now, I want to go through and bust a few different myths that are kind of circulate out there, or even just pre-existing thoughts that many people have in their minds before they get started on an Amazon business. And the first one is that truly there is no experience needed that you have to have whenever you're starting these business models. Yes, it can be nice to have extra experience on Amazon, but we all started from somewhere. I remember not knowing a thing about Amazon when we started back in December of 2015. And over time, you start to learn those things. We chose to purchase coaching and courses and go through that. I didn't use YouTube back then and look into that process, but you can utilize YouTube to learn some of the basics of Amazon and to get started. Ultimately, though, don't let your lack of experience hold you back. If anything, use that as your motivator, use that as your advantage, and the fact that you're willing to test new things. You aren't stuck in your ways. You're willing to try different methods out in your business so that you can find what ultimately works best for you, your family, your business model, the cash flow that you have, all these different things. Use the lack of experience as an advantage. Use that as a mindset shift so that you know that ultimately you're coming at it without all of the pre-existing thoughts that I might have right now that may actually be a detriment to me. I may be set in my ways on certain things, whereas you can be much more open because you don't have the business that you're starting with yet. You don't have that going. And so you can try a bunch more things that I'm not able to in my business. Obviously, I try not to get stuck in my ways. I try to look at new things moving forward all the time. And that's what this channel is about. Or some of them is just me trying new stuff in our business and telling you about it. But ultimately, you don't need experience to be successful on Amazon. You've got to start from somewhere and then move forward at the right pace with the right methods behind you, so that you're focused on the proper business models that will help you get to that success as quickly as possible. The other myth that I want to talk about is that there is no large amount of capital needed. There are so many different courses and programs out there, especially with two of these three business models, that talk about how you need a lot of money to place large orders with distributors, with manufacturers, with wholesalers even. And so that is a huge myth, in my opinion, that a lot of people come into the Amazon business model and they expect that they need a good chunk of money to be successful. I know some courses that tell you to have 10 grand ready to buy products, and you're just testing one or two products out there. It makes no sense. That's a huge risk with very little, opportunity to know that you're going to get that capital back. And so I want you to know, as you're watching other YouTube channels, you might be thinking or hearing that you need a lot of money to get started, and that is not the case. You can get started with $100. You can even get started with zero if you're willing to sell things around your house, and then use that money from what you sold to turn it back into inventory to grow in the right way moving forward. So I don't want you to think that, hey, I have to get started with a bunch of money to even be successful. Yes, having extra money can help, but it can also be a detriment, because many people that have the extra money to get started make bad buying decisions because they are more likely to just be willing to spend it and see how it goes, because they have more money to use, to burn. Whereas if you have less money to get started, you have to buy the right products. You have to know that you'll get at least your money back, or close to it, if you were to be making a mistake on things. So use the lack of capital to your advantage. And if you have a bunch of capital, don't just spend it willy-nilly. You want to make sure you're spending it on the right things. And I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit as well. And then the third myth is that this is not something that is extremely difficult to do. Ultimately, these models are simple, but they are not easy. And I'm going to tell you the simplest model, which is the one I talk about on my channel regularly. And I'm going to go through the pros and cons of each of these. But this is a simple thing to do, selling on Amazon, but it is not easy. Yes, there will be difficulties in getting used to the platform and buying products and using shipments and getting used to software. But once you get used to it and you get those things set up, it is a very simple thing to grasp. You can train a lot of people to source products for you for a very low rate moving forward. And so it is simple, but it takes a lot of hard work to actually succeed with this. And so I'm going to quickly tell you my story with all three of these different models. I have experimented with each one of these, and I'll go through them real quickly right now. Number one is arbitrage, number two is wholesale, and number three is private label. And I have done all of these. We actually currently incorporate all three of these models into our businesses, and we have settled on the one that we like the most, and I'm going to talk about why here in a minute. But as we've gone through, the one thing that separated us from the pack over time was that we were willing to double down and focus on one of them. You don't want to get into this and try to focus on all three of these and be successful with all three of these, because it will be very difficult to actually get success with all three models at the same time. You need to focus on the one that resonates with you the most. You need to focus on the one that you feel you can get the success with the quickest, the most, and the one that can help you to turn over your capital quicker as well. And so let me dive a little bit deeper into each of these. The very first one, as I already mentioned, is arbitrage. Now you'll see on the screen that I put retail, online, and hybrid. Hybrid is not typically talked about. I actually did a video on that months ago as of the time of this recording, which you can check that out on my channel as well. But retail arbitrage is essentially buying products in a retail store at a lower price than what's on Amazon, and you're selling that on Amazon or even eBay or Walmart or other platforms. You can sell it on other platforms for more money. So let's say you buy a product for $5. You want to be selling that on Amazon for $12 to $15 at a minimum, so that way you can have enough profitability left over to be able to reinvest that into your business. And so this is the basic model, retail arbitrage. Then online arbitrage is the same thing as retail arbitrage, but doing it all online. So you're not going physically into a store, but you're going to an online website and placing your orders there. And then the third model, the hybrid arbitrage model, is one that I have coined, because there are so many different online apps like Instacart or Shipped that ultimately you can source products from your computer, but you're buying them from retail stores in your local area. And so to me, it's a hybrid of both retail and online arbitrage that gives you the ability to find some of those local products, but to be able to do it from an online perspective using those apps, and they'll just come and deliver it to you, which is super nice as well. And so this model is one that has been talked about for a long time. It has arbitrage in general is around forever, but arbitrage online has happened really in the early 2000s with eBay. That was the main model. People going to garage sales, liquidations, Goodwill, selling products on eBay. And that still is an extremely good business model, a high profit business model. But from an Amazon perspective, we can't sell used products as easily as we can some of the new products. And so while you can do used on Amazon, I don't necessarily recommend it unless you're doing books and other things like that that are commonly used. But if you're going to do products from the store, I recommend looking for things that are full price and not ultimately going to the clearance aisles. And the reason is because if you look for these full price products, you can find things that are replenishable to you, items that ultimately you can go back to, let's just say Walmart, for instance. You can go back to Walmart and find those same exact products at the same exact price on the shelf. You can sometimes put them together in bundles of 2s or 3s or different flavors, and you can sell them on Amazon without having to create any listings at all. And while this isn't a video about the specifics of Replens and the replenishable model that I teach, this is the main model that we have used to grow to over $100,000 per month. We've seen over 1,000 success stories from this model, which you can actually see over 500 of those at AskJimmySmith.com/success. If you just want to verify that I'm not lying to you about that, you can go there and see all of the testimonials, over 500 of them. But if you're looking for more information on the Replens model, all of that you can find on my channel. I've done videos of how to get to your first $10,000 a month in sales, of how to get to $1 million a year, how to get to 5 million. We've sold over $5 million of products on Amazon, and you can find that on my channel for specific Replen content. But the basic idea of arbitrage is you're buying products at a lower price in a store or elsewhere, and you are selling them on Amazon at a higher price and making profit. Now, the very first question most people ask is, would people really spend more money on these products on Amazon than they could get it for at the shelves? Yes, they will. And those success stories I've told you about are proof of that. But also, we have to realize we're providing a service with this model. Ultimately, many people may not be able to get to the store, or maybe their favorite product in the store has been discontinued there or clearanced out there, and they have to go to Amazon to buy it. And we're able to provide that service to them while also getting them available for Prime and paying Amazon's fees and taking a little bit of profit for ourselves as well. So there is obviously more money into that, but we have to provide that service using the logistics and the platform that Amazon has allowed us to use, for the FBA Prime Fulfillment Program. Now, the second model for selling on Amazon, or most popular, is wholesale. And typically that can be with either distributors who sell a bunch of products and you are just buying through a distributor and competing with other sellers on those products, or it can be through exclusives directly with a brand. Many times, if you work with a brand, you can get connected with them and do exclusive relationships where you are the only seller allowed on that product. And there's tons of information out there on how to do that as well. I don't cover it a ton on my channel, but I expect to do more of that moving forward because this is something that I'm doing more of lately as well. But wholesale is great because you are getting it at a discounted price from typical retail stores, and you're able to get much more of it shipped directly to you. So it makes it a little bit easier from a scalability standpoint because it's going to be the same products over and over. And it gets even better from a scaling standpoint if you're building exclusive relationships with brands, so that way you are the only seller on those products. You control the pricing, but you also have to control the listings, the ads. You have to control a lot of different things for that brand. But ultimately, it gives you a lot more scalability and control of the profitability of the company moving forward. So there are some major pros to that because you can scale it a lot easier, but there are also some cons because you have to be buying products typically in a much larger volume. I don't recommend starting with this strategy. I recommend starting with the first one, the arbitrage model, the Replens strategy that I teach here and on the course and in my book, all of that. But wholesale is an excellent way to move forward. And I personally believe as you get to a certain point in your arbitrage business, you should begin then to look into moving forward into wholesale because it's the next logical step and conclusion in your business after arbitrage. Now, the third option is private label or white label. Now, I put both of these up there because a lot of times they're interchanged, but white label is typically getting products made by a manufacturer and they're just putting your label on to their product that they've already made. So maybe 10 or 15 other people are buying this product, but it's white label because they're just slapping your label on that product for whatever they're selling to you. Whereas private label is traditionally getting your own formulas built or made that is specific to you, right? So if you think about supplements, for example, most people doing private label are actually doing white label because most of those companies aren't making their own formulas. If they are making their own formulas and they're getting their own brand exclusive to them and their own ingredients or whatever exclusive to them, then it will be private label because it's just for them. If they're getting something that is more generic, let's just say a vitamin D supplement, you can just essentially go to a vitamin D manufacturer and they will allow you to put your own label on that and handle that for you. That is white label. But you see a lot of private label courses come out, and ultimately they're interchangeable for most people. The easiest way, if you're going to do it, is finding some of the white label type products where the product is already made, but you are just having them put your label and branding onto that product. It's a lot cheaper than getting your own formula manufactured, for instance. And it doesn't have to be supplements. It could be anything, home and kitchen goods. It could be whatever. So you've got a lot of opportunity in the private label and white label niche. So those are the three main Amazon business models that most people discuss on YouTube and in courses. To me, the best model to start with is arbitrage, that Replens stuff. I've already said that. Check out the channel. Check out some other stuff on my website at AskJimmySmith. The second one would be moving up to wholesale and getting those relationships. And then the third one, if you want to start doing your own products and your own brands, would be private label / white label and making your own listings on Amazon so that way you've got your own brand that's just for you and you can focus on that. I typically don't like people to start with wholesale or private label because it's a lot more money to get started, and in many cases much more difficult because arbitrage is such a low-hanging fruit opportunity, and it gives you the ability to start with $100 versus having to start with $500, $1,000, $10,000, which you sometimes have to do with wholesale and private label as you grow. Now, one thing that I'm going to leave you with here is to avoid getting distracted. I recommend picking one and sticking with it until it's completely outsourced eventually, because if you try to do all three at once, none of them are going to grow. You need to pick the one that resonates with you, the one that you like the best, the one that you believe can get you the most success as quickly as possible so you can see that success and grow from there. Pick that one and stick with it at least for 6 months to a year. And then after you see how that's going, you can reevaluate and decide what you want to do moving forward. And so if you're interested in the course that I recommend, the one that has my Replens content, or if you're interested in my book or anything else that I recommend from a training perspective, you can go to AskJimmySmith.com/sell-on-Amazon. The link's also in the description. My course is a part of that whenever you go to that website, and you'll see the link that I recommend for the course that you can look at purchasing. And if you're interested in seeing over 500 of those success stories that I mentioned earlier, you go to AskJimmySmith.com/success, because I know a lot of people say that they have success with their courses, and they see a lot of people come through and get success, but not many people can provide over 500. We've actually had over 1,000 in our courses, but I can only fit 500 onto the webpage for the hosting provider that I use on my website without it crashing. So we got 500. I think it's 525 was the max I could get to on that webpage. But anyway, what did you think of this video? Let me know what you'd like to see from me on this channel, any specific topics you want me to go into, anything that I can help you with. I try to respond to as many questions and comments as I possibly can. And so please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. It helps me to know I'm doing a good job and ultimately that you're enjoying this content. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.